Today, we're gonna be doing something different. I got a special treat for you guys. If you don't know, we have a website, tons of long seminars, specific topics, amazing artists going over amazing things, right? Every month, we upload a new artist talking about a specific concept or idea. It's all education-based, unseenlevel.com. Today, we're gonna be watching and I'm gonna be reacting to one of those seminars. So I hand-picked this one. I was so excited about it. It's Annabelle Tattoos going over cover-ups. The reason I was so excited about it is because I am terrible at cover-ups. I've tried them in the past. Sometimes they went like okay, but I saw other artists doing them so much better than me. I just kind of left it to those other artists like Nate and Joe. So I don't really mess with cover-ups. But once in a while, it'll come up. I love to do sleeves and larger projects, and it's pretty rare that people come in with 0 tattoos. There's always something little, even on one of the last videos where I did that Japanese ornamental sleeve thing, there was that little cross I had to cover up. And it might seem silly if you do cover ups, but seeing that I'm like, I'm just not comfortable with it. Annabelle Tattoos, if you haven't checked out her work, it is amazing. It's like full color, horror, realism, surrealism, pop art. It's fun, it's sick. And she just is fearless. Anywhere you want, on top of a tattoo, any body part, she just rips these sick tattoos. So we got her to come in and film a seminar for Unseen specific to cover-ups. So that's what we're gonna be going over today. I'm gonna be watching it with you guys. We're gonna check this thing out. Listen, I haven't seen final product yet. I was there for parts of it recording, but it's different, seeing the final product. So I'm very excited. Let's get into it.
I want to show you guys some examples of the power a cover-up can have on the body.
Yeah, see, these are sick. I could never do this. Not even the cover-up part, just the color part. Like I was saying, she covers huge other tattoos. You guys saw me, I was freaking out about that little cross. You come in with a full sleeve, she's like, yeah, let's just put something on top of it.
As you can see, you can have a huge impact on the body and the client. So where do we start? Over the years, I have developed 3 non-negotiables for approaching cover-ups. The first is size. If we're starting out and we're attempting to cover a tattoo this big with something this big, perfect. It's almost like the cover-up becomes secondary to the tattoo. If someone approaches you and they want to cover up with something this big with something this big,
that is something that I've experienced with the size, and I see Joe and Nate and other cover-ups artists do this. They do not compromise. They're like it. And even when someone asks me hey, you think I could cover this? I'm always like, yes, but it's gonna be bigger than the current tattoo. So kind of knew that one. Good to hear it reinforced.
That's gonna be a tough time. Next is client. Now, what do I mean by this? Ultimately, the client has to be okay with what you're covering the tattoo up with. What they have in mind versus what you're actually going to be able to use might be different. So this is where you're gonna have to have that conversation with the client and be realistic and manage the client's expectations. Now, we all know good and bad clients. Good client, they're gonna come in, they're gonna give you free rein. Obviously, they're gonna have to be happy with what you give them. So having that discussion, but they're gonna give you free rein and flexibility to do what you need to do to achieve the cover-up. Bad client, they're gonna expect that you give them the world. This is where it's okay to say no. When it comes to dealing with clients and starting out with cover-up, sometimes it can be easier to work on friends and family, almost like when you first started tattooing. They're gonna give you a lot more comfortability and freedom to do what you need to do when you're starting.
I completely agree with that, and I think this is why no one has faith in me doing cover-ups, is because I don't have many examples to show them, but this is a technique I see used all the time. So one, I'm hearing you know, you gotta be specific with your clients, you know, with size, design, like make sure it is realistic in the approach, but then also show them what you've done in the past. I see Nate and Joe do this all the time. Like, hey, this is what, you know, a cover-up I've done looks like, and it builds that confidence in the client. So I've seen that technique used a ton here in this shop. And then once the client has that confidence, the rest of the consultation becomes way easier. They're like, oh, okay, this artist knows exactly what they're talking about. I think that is amazing.
Lastly, design. It's my third non-negotiable and ultimately one of the most important, because some things work for cover-ups and some things don't. So a lot of people think, when they think of cover-ups, they think dark. Yes, that is part of it, but if you just focus on that, you're essentially just going to end up with a big dark blob that looks like a cover-up. You also need to take into account that you want full color and some open areas. So you don't want it to just look like a dark blob that looks like a cover-up. You want it to look like a cool tattoo that actually stands up on its own. So let's revisit some of the examples I showed you earlier. So as we can see here are the areas of darks where majority of the cover-up is being taken care of, but we've also got a lot of open areas, the light areas, the areas where there's, you know, a little bit of texture, which also helps to break the tattoo up and draw the eye away from what we're trying to cover.
I feel like I've never been very good at this part. I'll get really concerned about like what in the piece is going to cover the dark parts. I think I do forget to think about the light parts being exposed, and like she just said, that's what really makes the cover up. I mean, man, I'm looking at this Venom Spider-Man and I don't see cover up at all. Maybe a little in the tongue, and that's after looking at it for a while. But like this thing passing me by on the street, like no way. You know, and I'm looking at the light parts. I'm looking at like the eyes, the top of the head, the blue in the background. So I guess that that trickery is definitely part of the cover-up process.
So here's another example. We can see the areas where there's plenty of dark, where most of the cover-up is, and then also the areas of the light, the texture, drawing the eye away from the existing tattoo and what we're covering. And again, the same themes apply. The areas of dark.
This Wolverine one is crazy. Like the whole cover up is in the face. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like if I'm like doing faces, I'm trying to put the face not anywhere near the tattoo we're covering, but this one, I mean, this one's crazy. But yeah, I guess the light is on that one side of the face that's open, and the dark in his mask is, yeah, on top of the cover up, so that makes sense. But just seeing it like that with the stencil on is wild.
The areas of light, texture, drawing the eye away from the cover-up. When you're starting out with cover-ups, stick to what you know. If you're super comfortable doing flowers, or skulls, or horror, like me, focus on those. Then focus on size. Make sure it's an appropriate size, and that there's plenty of darks to achieve the cover-up. But also focus on the lights to create that balance. So, every good cover-up starts with a bad tattoo.
So listen, even with that sleeve that I posted, I think I'm following some of the rules that she's saying. Because, you know, there's talking about size, make it bigger than the image it is. So the image that I was covering, which was the cross, was like this big, and the size that I chose was an entire sleeve, because that's how terrible I am at cover-ups. But I think we got it done. Let's check out the client.
This is the tattoo we're going to be covering today. And this is what we're going to be covering it with. I am known for horror.
This is the other thing that I stay away from. Like, she's covering these hard black lines. Like, maybe it's just me, but if I see line work and you want me to cover line work, that is the most intimidating, because lines are packed in the body so solid. Like, I'd be way more comfortable like covering light shading or like a faded out color, just not line work. So I'm glad this is the example she's choosing.
I will do these tattoos all day, every day, whether it's a cover-up or not. But they are great for cover-up. So how is this different from a normal tattoo?
She's using Fritz's
Placement.
face.
Ideal scenario would be that you would put it on this nice flat area of the leg. Now, obviously we have existing shitty tattoos, so that's not going to be possible. There are limitations. So we need to have it placed so that this nice dark area is going to be taking care of this here, the cover up. And we're going to have it slightly wrapping forward so that the face is going to be sitting on this nice open area of skin. That's the light area that we're talking about to create that balance and draw the eye away from the cover up. So how does palette come into play? Obviously, I discussed the fact that we want full color and full coverage.
This is the part I really want to pay attention to because I'm not familiar with color, so I'm very curious what she has to say about the palette.
As far as what that color palette entails is dependent on what we're trying to cover. If the tattoo that you are covering up doesn't have a lot of black in it, you're going to have a lot more options as far as the reference and the color palette that you choose to use. For this tattoo, we need to have those darks and those colors that are going to work to get rid of this tattoo here. The light areas, we've got a lot more flexibility because we're working on an area of skin where there's absolutely no cover up happening. That's where we get that balance. So let's talk about stencil for a moment. I always like to do my stencils by hand, regardless of whether it's a cover up or not. It gives me a chance to work through my process and figure out how I'm going to approach the tattoo. So ultimately what you need to remember is that I don't approach my stencils any differently. Nothing changes, it's still a tattoo. I still like to work through my process during the stenciling. So as you can see here, I've done my stencil in a contrasting color. I always like to do that. I will often keep the stencil, the line drawing, with the opacity dropped. Let's do that.
This was something I actually took from Anna. You know, being friends with her, she told me a while ago, drawing the stencil with a contrasting color. I used to always draw them in black, and sometimes, like, you know, being a black and gray artist, you might lose the stencil in the drawing when it's black. So drawing in like a red or a blue really helped the visibility of the stencil through the tattooing process, because I will look at my reference with the stencil in the reference to help navigate through the tattoo. So got to give credit where credit's due.
Drop that opacity so I can still see the design underneath, but I can constantly refer back to that during the tattooing process. This can be particularly helpful during a cover-up because sometimes where the stencil sits can get a little bit messy with the existing tattoo underneath. If I'm unsure about where I am, if I get a little bit confused about what something is, I can refer back to that, still seeing the contrasting color, and double check how that fits in with the tattoo that I'm working on. Essentially, when it comes to the equipment that I use, nothing really changes. I use all the same equipment regardless of the tattoo that I'm doing, but I do like to focus on using smaller needle groupings so that I can get nice full coverage on that cover-up area. You don't want to go using a big mag because that can keep the saturation a little bit soft. Smaller groupings, better saturation, better coverage, better cover-up. All right, so basically, initially I play around with the placement. Because of the nature of the stencil paper, you can sort of see through it, so you can get a vague idea of how it's fitting over the tattoo.
Did you see the dog running in the background? I just noticed that. Nothing to do with the tattoo.
And then once I'm happy with where it's sitting, just use a little skin marker and just mark out 2 little lines and then a line along the edge. Now, it doesn't have to line up exactly with these lines, but as long as it's in the right vicinity, then you're less likely to have to re-stick the stencil. Stencil primer.
Yeah, it's cool. You can see exactly how she explained, like, she did it really nice with the image where the face is pretty much split into dark and light. The dark's gonna go over those
line
legs.
Up those top lines.
And then that like light part of the face that's like coming out of the design will fall right in that open spot. And that's where the attention's gonna be drawn anyway.
Pat that down.
I feel like when I watch Anna do it, I'm like, this makes sense and I can do this. And then if I try to do it alone, I fucking panic.
Just to ensure it's got a really nice stick.
The damp paper towel trick's cool because then you can like see through the stencil more and really see if you got it.
So I'll have a quick look at the stencil. Now, this is the joys of cover-up. Sometimes you've got to make some little concessions to end up with the best placement, but also covering up.
So like I would look at that and I see like the mouth is like still on top of the cover-up, and that would make me nervous. But I guess the bottom fangs are sticking out. Maybe that's all you need, but there is a hard black line going right over the tooth. Like, I don't know, I would just be like, oh, that's probably gonna poke through.
Things as best as possible. Now, as you can see, there's some areas that we're working through up here. Because I've angled it, these lines are coming through in perhaps not the darkest part of the tattoo. So we might need to make some adjustments on the fly to cover that as best as possible, but we'll be able to start figuring that out once we start tattooing and seeing how it's covering up along the way. I have angled it a little bit more than I had initially anticipated, just so that it kind of fits that curve of the top of the thigh a little bit better. Yeah, it's really just going to be one of those things that we'll see as we go, how we need to make any little adjustments, if anything. But overall, we've still got the area here where it's going to be nice and dark or relatively dark, take care of that cover up. Still got this nice open area up here, which is going to draw that attention away from the cover up.
So I knew that would be part of it, like what she just said, working on the fly, working with the design. You're not going to get anything perfect. Because she was saying that like one of the lines came down in a lighter part of the tattoo. So I'm very curious to see how she makes those adjustments. You know, I'm sure that comes with her experience, and you know, I'm sure she's very confident in that, but it'll still be cool to watch her make these changes on the fly based off her past experience. So I love that we went over Anna's like foundation, her intro. She takes us through the entire tattoo. It's a lot of content. It's hours, which for someone like me at least is amazing because there's all these parts of the cover-up process that I don't really understand, I don't have experience with. So it's just helpful. If you know, it felt like I'm literally there with her while she's doing this tattoo, and at any point I can jump around and ask questions. That being said, I can't go through the entire like hours and hours of footage of this with you guys. It would just take too long, but I did want to show you the final product. It's just so cool. It would be an injustice to not show it. So let's look at how this thing turned out. So we see her putting in the highlights, which it's just fun. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've been tattooing, it is fun to watch someone or do it yourself put in the highlights on a piece. It's just putting a bow on the whole thing. And you get some up close looks at all the textures in there. I was like in and out during the filming of this, but I was here for it was so late. It took so long to film. And it's funny to me because her husband, Chris, the client in this, I know he was just miserable at the end of this.
Okay, so after a long day, we've finished. I think overall the old tattoo seems to have covered quite well.
So cool.
A couple little areas where you can see it. I don't even know if it's showing up on the camera. This is probably just me being particular, but you can see little areas where it's raised a little bit. That's not uncommon. That will settle down once the swelling starts to go down. Even by tomorrow, it'll be pretty much gone. Again, couple little areas that I can see that I feel.
The texture in these things is amazing. It's very distracting. I cannot see those lines and I'm looking for it. I pointed it out in the beginning, those hard lines like in the chin and the tooth, the teeth or whatever. I cannot see them at all.
Feel like it might end up needing a second pass. Super common that cover-ups will need a second pass. Not always, but I always like to discuss with the client that that's a really high possibility. If you think about it like covering up graffiti on a wall, you're gonna need more than one coat of paint to cover it completely.
And I've heard that almost from every cover-up artist, that it needs that second coat or that second session. I see Joe and Nate do it all the time. So yeah, and it's nice to hear that from professionals, right? Hey, this is something that I'm also doing too. I'm doing that second session, that third session. I'm pretty sure Joe kind of makes that like mandatory for his, just to, and he lets them know like, hey, when this thing heals, there might be some poking through areas. So it sets that like realistic expectation for the client. They come in for that second pass and that is gone.
You look at it more as progress, not necessarily 100% perfection. Like it's already exponentially better than what we were covering up. So
this is so cool.
We'll let it heal, see how it goes. Possibility that it'll need a touch up in certain areas. Who knows? It might heal perfectly and we won't need to do it. But hopefully we'll be able to come back and revisit, have a look at it once it's healed and see how it's all settled in. So now as far as tattoo aftercare is concerned,
awesome. And then she continues to go through the aftercare, which is great. I mean, I loved this video. I loved being there for parts of it while I was filming, seeing her process do it. I've seen Anna in the studio all the time doing these things. After watching this, don't quote me, I think maybe I could do a big cover up like this. I feel like I definitely could if Anna was there with me. But I learned a bunch of stuff, which was cool. You know, sometimes being in the industry a long time, you know, I might think, you know, oh, like I know all the tricks. I know how other artists operate, which is, it's never the case. You know, I'm always, you know, have the ability to learn more if I'm willing to, right? And this was fun. This was a fun watch. I could not be more impressed with the results. Let me know what you guys think. To me, the cover-up game, it's still mind-blowing. It's still mind-blowing to me. Guys, I hope you had fun going over parts of Anna's seminar. I know for me, it was fun. Like, I nerd out over this stuff. I love tattooing. I love different styles. Styles and things that I don't do are particularly interesting to me. So we have the full-length video up on unseenlevel.com along with a bunch of others. Even if you don't check out the full-length video, definitely check out Anna's work, her Instagram. She is amazing at these cover-ups. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments.